Now you can revisit the War of 1812 from all sides of the battle thanks to a new exhibit hosted by the St. Catharines Museum.
Well, this is an exhibition that was in planning for more than 5 years, in fact, and we understood and knew that the War of 1812 was going to be an important event, one that we wanted at the museum to commemorate for all Canadians. So an enormous amount of research went into this. Our curator, Dr. Peter McLeod, engaged in both reading almost everything about it, visiting archives, digging out new material, finding artifacts in our collection and in others, and pulling it together into what I think is a really interesting and innovative approach, which are the 4 views of the War of 1812.
Told from all 4 sides of those participating in the war, the exhibit may not be able to say who won, but has instead left that question for you to decide.
I think the 4 perspectives is really unique, and often when you're trying to figure out an exhibition, you have various ideas, you're trying to assess what would work, you're often looking at the artifacts, and I think this one where we took a step back and thought about what is the end game, and it was who won the war, and of course the various participants, almost everyone thought they won, and so that's quite interesting, except for First Peoples, who I think while they served bravely and sacrificed for this nation, after that they begin to engage in a very difficult time in Canadian history. So it's an exhibition that offers multiple viewpoints into the history of this country, and I think that's its great strength.
Curator Kathleen Powell is pleased to welcome the exhibit. St. Catharines is the first to host the display, which is on loan from the Canadian War Museum in Ottawa.
This exhibit is really exciting for us. We're really thrilled to be able to host a national exhibit about the War of 1812. Part of our role in the community is to provide a look at some of the larger museums that that people can't travel to, that we can bring into the museum. So that's part of what we're doing here. And then the other part is, this exhibit provides a really interesting perspective on the War of 1812 that people may or may not have experienced before. So for us, it's just another way for us to tell a story of our community in a different way.
How was this museum able to get its hands on this exhibit?
We were lucky. We knew the War Museum was developing an 1812 exhibit that was going to travel, and in actual fact they developed 2 traveling exhibits, one that is just exhibit panels with no artifacts, and the one that has artifacts, which is the one we ended up with. And we just got our name on the list early because we knew ahead that it was going to be traveling. So.
The exhibit is designed with museums like St. Catharines in mind.
1812 was designed to travel. It has a central core which lifts out in the main exhibit, and it will go across the country. As you look around the exhibit here, you'll notice all the platforms are curved, and that's because they used to form a circle, a hub, in the center of our main exhibit, which just lifts out, and in a museum like the St. Catharines Museum can be broken up and arranged whichever way a museum likes.
What are people going to be able to see when they come and visit it?
Well, really they get 4 histories of the War of 1812 instead of just 1. And when you come to the St. Catharines Museum, you can see, what do Americans think is important about the war? You see, what does Canadians think? What do the British think? What do Native Americans think? And obviously, the big thing people are going to notice is the question, who do they think won the war? If you're a Canadian, well, I think it's pretty obvious from our point of view who won the war. But Americans have their own take, and they have a case.
I think it's great. It was at the War Museum, where it was one of our most successful exhibitions, an award-winning exhibition. More than 120,000 Canadians saw it at the War Museum, but now we have a chance to bring it out to the regions, to bring it across Canada. In fact, this exhibition is going to 7 locations across the country, and I think it's really going to show Canadians the impact of the war in certain regions, but also its impact on the country itself.
The War of 1812 exhibit puts you in the middle of the battle between all armies involved. You can see the display until mid-August. Reporting for The Source, I'm Brendan Sylvia.